Now, you know, the sense that we're in control of our life, that be an illusion. All it takes is one little spark from a fire, and you realize this thing has grown way beyond your ability to contain it. Guess it's one of those reasons they say don't play with fire. Well, a little brush fire was started in the morning. It was kind of a rain and misty day, and it certainly seemed like a perfect kind of day to try to burn up a nice sized brush pile. Well, later in the day, I don't know if I smelled smoke or what it was, but I decided I should check on that there fire. Took the four-wheeler out, looked the pile over, brush that was supposed to be burning. Now, mind you, near to that, there's a big old pile of firewood and saw logs that weren't supposed to catch fire. Everything looked good as far as I could tell, and a quick look over, drove back into the house, and I was sitting on the side porch with my wife, my daughter, kind of playing around at our feet, and I see this pretty white smoke just rolling across the field. I thought, wow, that brush fire is really a-burning. Really smells smoky. I even started to hear some sirens out in the distance. Well, they got closer and closer, kind of wrapped out around us. I didn't think nothing of it. I mean, you know, I had checked on the fire. I didn't think anything had happened. Then I get this call from my neighbor while I'm sitting on the porch. My neighbor says, hey, he got a call from another neighbor saying the field's on fire, and can I go out and check and make sure it doesn't get to a sawmill? He doesn't want a sawmill burning up. I said, yeah. I jumped in the truck, ran on over there, and all this activity you see now, this is what I saw when I got there. Now, when I first got here, they used some, like, let's say, slightly larger than pickup trucks, two of them, going out through the field, and out of the bumper light came this water sort of spraying the fire out as they drove forward. Now, mind you, the field was on fire over a good patch of area, and this water coming out of the bumper kind of dulled it down, and then they used these big old hoses coming out of the back of the truck to get more distant things, like little fires. They'd be shooting up in the tree, and I tried to use a little rake myself to stamp out and keep the fire from going up a cedar tree. That's one of Clarence's helpers,
right.
And you guys were coming out of Waynesboro, and this is we're in Welsh Run here, and you saw smoke from Waynesboro.
Yep, coming down for a kill.
Wow. And how did you figure out it was on Clarence's land?
After he got the phone call saying his neighbor called the fire department.
Okay, so you saw the smoke before the call or after the call?
Before the call.
Before the call.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are piecing it together, and you called Clarence and said...
And we said, hey man, we think your field's on fire.
And,
he thought we were messing with him.
And
a couple minutes later, he got a phone call from the fire department.
Good stuff away.
It was down into here.
Okay,
right beyond
when
the
you
wood
saw
pile
it.
here, and just entering like, is that a rock break? There's some rock break there.
Toward the hill.
That's where it was when I saw it.
Okay.
Straighter.
Okay. Yeah. It's posing there. That's better. So yeah, it was out toward about that crest of that hill there, that rock break.
Yeah.
And man, did it ever get pretty far? Just in that,
when that grass was, probably in a couple minutes. Probably less than 5 minutes it took them to get the fire department to get here.
And in 5 minutes it kind of went probably down to that low ravine or whatever.
Yeah. Hit one tree there that the needles would just blew up and all like a ball of flame.
Yeah.
So that's keeping that from hitting the other cedar trees.
Well, I'm really glad you guys could get to it before those big cedars went up, because that would just be a shame to see that woods cleared out.
It really did.
It's a big
A couple acres here. Let's see about.
Why did it burn? Well, and that looked like a lot of fire.
So it's driven by the wind. I'm surprised. Good.
Looks like you've got some protection there from God, I think. The trees look pretty good.
Yeah, right.
Yep, a lot of excitement for one day.
There's a fire in the kingdom! A fire! I should go fight it! Hello, Barney! Yes, the fire is at your house? Oh, you couldn't put it out? That's true, we really need our volunteers. Okay, well I'll come down soon, bye-bye. I think we need, you know what we need? We need to commemorate the firefighters and their willingness to serve in fighting a fire that they did not light. Some kind of art. What kind though? I've got it. A shadow box. Yeah. After all, I don't know if I would have been much hurt fighting that fire. Got my little squirt gunny. I confess, I got carried away and I made 4 of these, so I found one that I really liked. First I made this one here. You see the firefighters. The lighting would help this a lot. Then I made this variation and the same firefighter concept. Then I got away from the firefighters and I was just obsessed with the shadow boxes. This one's called an accordion style. And then lastly, I did this one. This is my favorite. We tried to make something like this. Your project, you want to do super heavyweight white drawing paper? I used cardstock on my first one and it was so heavy, it did not let the light pass through quite as well. So step 2. Now what you do is you cut this in half so that you have many little half pieces like this. Actual step 2 now, you take your ruler and you measure over a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch over on this end and connect those like this. And you're going to do this the whole way around. Now don't make this rookie mistake. Make a little mark here and then just guess. You might think it's level and then you look at it and like, oh my, well, I'm off. So when you do it right, you will have something that looks like this for the border the whole way around. Nice border. The drawing that we're going to do is going to be a silhouette. And you probably know what silhouettes are. A true silhouette is just the outline of an object. You do not see the bird's wing or eye. Same thing here, just the outline. Now, this drawing is going to be a series of outlines or silhouettes. Going to do a wolf howling at the moon because that is just such a nice, typical, conventional. It's just what I think of when I think of a silhouette. And silhouettes have no details in the middle of them. I mean, if you wanted to, for special effect, you could show like a little, this is going to be a house here. You could show a little light in the window and cut out that window, but with a true silhouette, that window would not be there. It's kind of breaking the rules a little bit, but that can be cool. On this outline of the rock cliff, if I want to show, let's say, a little rock lodged in here, I can cut out this area, right, to either side of that, and that's okay. Another thing that I would like to point out in this is that all of your silhouettes have to tie into the border. This border will hold this whole cliff on here. This tree is being held onto this border here. Now let's say that I wanted to put a bird flying right here at the same level as this. I couldn't really put the bird there unless I put a little connector strip. That looks kind of funny, but I guess you could do a limb that kind of holds the bird in place there, right? So that's possible. But you'll figure this out as you go along. Now, one other thing that's a nice detail to point out is that you can get a lot of depth and realism rather than just having a straight outline. As you see here, this tree is made up of 5 different silhouette layers. Layer 1, leaves. Layer 2, leaves. Layer 3, leaves. Layer 4, layer 5. So these are the leaves closest to us. This is about midway through the tree, and then way back here you have leaves the tree is putting out ways away. So that's a good thing to do. Step 4, take 4 different colored pencils and outline each silhouette layer in a different color. So let's say that I want to outline my first layer, my first layer is this woofy. And I marked it number 1, and then I'm going to outline, and here you see the 4 different colored layers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to use a dark pencil, 6B. Turn this over to the back and shade this as dark as you can. Or half sheet of paper on here like this, and you tape this over, tape this here. And we're just going to trace number 1 silhouette, all the blue one. And if you didn't draw your border on here prior to this, you can just trace over the edge with a ruler and get that in that way. And then we trace all of part 1 on. And then I like to take the tape off the back and just leave it attached to the front one. So tape's still here. And here we have our tracing. You can see that's going to be layer 1. I numbered that number 1. And we're ready for layer 2. You put another piece under here like this and tape it down. And you trace layer 2. Right here's layer 2. Trace over all of this, right? All the layer 2. You don't forget to trace your borders in here if you don't have those already. And take this off. 2 looks like. And you have a few places where you need to go back and say, well, what is happening here? Here's the tree coming here, and there's a cliff that it's going to be. We don't want to put anything that would stick out way here, but just sort of attach this like a little cliff into here. So if somebody sees it, they say, oh, a little cliff. But it just is to hold this here. And this piece just needs to continue over to here. There's maybe a few blank spots here where this tree covered it over. And just keep going. Keep putting blank piece of paper for your next layer on here. Tape it on. And trace the 3, the reds, and then you do another one and you trace layer 4. You want to lay thick cardboard down, not corrugated, more this kind down to protect your surface. Then lay your first silhouette down. Few tips about safety. You don't want to walk around with this sticking out. Retract the blade, then walk around. Now, the blade is extremely sharp, and you always want to cut away from your hand. You don't ever want to find yourself in this situation where you're cutting towards yourself. Could end very, very badly for your finger and for you. Now, good cutting technique is to always cut with the blade running parallel to the line, right? You don't want to be trying to cut like this. This would be more of a scratchy You got to keep this parallel. I find myself when I'm cutting, I do a lot of turning the paper and the blade simultaneously, meaning at the same time. And if you want to see how your little cut was, you could just cut from here to, and then remove that. Say, oh, it's doing nicely. Now, there is a possibility that if you're getting a lot of fluffy or scratched surfaces, not a good clean cut, it could be that you are using the side of the blade. Or maybe you have a very dull blade and you want to try a different blade. Okay, cut that out, let you see that. Come on, little piece. There you go. And we just keep cutting. And here is the second layer all cut out, and we'll move on, or the first layer cut out, moving on to the second layer. Take a cardboard box and cut it into thin strips, 3/8 of an inch. If you get into a 1/2 inch or bigger, it will start to overlap into your image. You're ready to glue. You take the side with the pencil and you turn it over. Now this will reverse your image, but that's really no problem. And so this becomes the front, the very first one, and we're going to glue on the back of it. So we will be flipping it back like this. Actually, I like to start from the back and work forward, because then you can glue on the front. But so we're going to glue these on here the whole way around. So you take your hot glue gun and then put a little spot of here on a couple spots and press this down. I like to stay to the outer edge of this, just like that. I like to cut this flush with the white paper like this. Then we fill in this area. Here we have a little extra. This will work just fine. Put that there about the center. And then over on this side, if you want to cut it exact, which you will lay it on here, just draw straight above it like this. Take your scissors, cut, put a couple bits of gluey here, 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 like along the, right where they come together. Make a stronger joint. Attach that in while it's good and hot, and you have your first one. Now that's only one piece of cardboard thick. I generally like to go 2, so I will add whole way around. Now when I add the second layer of cardboard, I like to overlap like this so that it gives extra strength. Meaning I don't put it the same way I did before. I overlap this seam to make it stronger. Work good. Keep it toward the outer edge like we said before, so this is flush. And here we have a good depth to make all the layers. So next what we do is take, again we keep track of this is the front, the lines and drawing is on the back. Now this piece is next. The pencil's here, we flip it over, and we're going to see this kind of coming through the back like that. And it's actually ready to glue on because we got the distance between it. Got to work fairly quickly so the glue does not dry. And make sure I've got this lined up right. I have the pencil side here, so this one should be pencil side at the moment. Lay that on, start the top, work from the outside in, corner down, getting them tight. And we've got it half attached. I'm gonna go back here and finish these up. I may attach these quick. Time is of the essence. And over here, another drop of glue. Drop, drop, drop. And now when you flip it over, this is what you see so far. Keep going. So now we have to put 2 more strips of width of cardboard, and then the next layer. So okay, we have all 4 layers here. Layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we have a couple of options. You flip it over, put Elmer's glue over the whole area, blend it in a little bit, and just adhere this on here like that. It would look something like that, right? Nice blue sky. In this case, I just want to create another layer with the cardboard. Take this back another layer, and we're going to put this back here for a slight separation, but I'm going to keep it all white. It's adhered back here next to the piece of paper. Now it is almost finished, but if you wanted to make this a true light box, you would need to build out the cardboard layers at least a ½ inch, probably more like an inch. So you have sort of this box-like thing back here, and then you would tape small lights in here called fairy lights. I used ultra-thin wire LED lights, and you would tape them back here around the outer part right against this, but on the inside, and then that emits this beautiful light coming through the back. And many times they put another piece of paper back there to hide the lights and to bring the light out more. Now, we're not going to do that today, so we're going to just kind of make the edge look nicer. To find the width of what you have, of course, just measure. We see that this side is 1 inch, and I want this green paper to wrap up across here. We know this is a ½ inch. I'm going to bring it up 3/8 of an inch. So 1 3/8 inches, and cut out 4 pieces of cardboard in the color, not cardboard, construction paper, and so that it's going to cover this area, the side, and wrap up over the front, not totally cover the white, but be set back a little bit. So once you have those 4 pieces cut out and measured, you take your piece, and I measure in 3/8 of an inch, 1 2 3/8, 1 2 3/8, and you can draw a line first or just score it. With scoring it, you just take any sharp object like a tack or needle, and just rub your tool over that once or twice, and that makes it much easier to fold right along that bend. I like to fold it in on the score mark, and you get a nice crisp edge. Now we have 4 of these all ready to go, and you glue these on like so. And I would probably do the front first with the hot glue gun. Do like this. Let's lay this up flush with this edge. Bring this down. That's sticking nicely. Come over to this side. Get a little glue along this seam. Like that. Fold that over. Like so, and continue on around. This would come up here and be glued on the same way, then cut off the excess carefully. Now, to see it in its greatest beauty, take it into a dark room and shine a flashlight behind. Remember, boys, it only takes a tiny spark to ignite a vast fire for good or for evil. Strange how our words and actions can be that spark that blows far, far beyond us to others, across time, across space, deep into the inaccessible recesses of the human heart, igniting a fire. Do not underestimate the power of this small, the youthful, the weak. Everyone can offer an encouraging word, a hug, a handshake, a smile, a visit to the old ones. Pick a flower from off this vast range of existence and then give it away. That's right. Give it away.